The first thing I noticed is that everything's darker. There's something in the air that makes everything go black. The buildings, the monuments, the bridges, the walls all around. Then I noticed the streets. Red threads taking me from square to square, from building to building, from story to story, from idea to idea. Only then did I notice the people. They had always been there, and still, only now could I see their suspicious eyes, their battle-ready bodies, the way they show allegiance to their armies in all their small, discreet actions, without even realizing it. As I see all this, a hum rings in my ears. In fact, it has been ringing since I arrived here. It keeps me awake. It forces me to see things I don't want to see, and to do things I don't want to do. It forces me to wonder, when all I wanted was to settle down.
And when designing public spaces like this one, city planners will invariably create footpaths for people to walk on and get around. But over time, desire lines like this one start to appear. And what they mean is that in the past, someone somewhere decided not to walk on the path created by the planners and instead started carving their own path. And someone else followed, and someone else, and someone else, and someone else. And the more people walk on a desire line, the more visible it becomes, leading to even more people walking on it, making it even more visible. And eventually it can come to pass that a desire line is paved over, turned into an official path. No need to stray away from the path designed for us by the planners anymore. But they don't really know what desire is. And after time, desire lines start appearing again. They always do.
The Crystal Palace is a beautiful yet infeasible dream, a mirage that beckons you, always at the edge of the visible, but like a dream, on close examination, proves different from what it seemed to be from afar. It stands beyond the city's boundary. He who makes up his mind to visit the palace will have to walk a long distance on foot past the city outskirts and dumping grounds. But, once inside, will not see either the roof or the walls. Only huge plates of glass stuck into an enormous box filled with sand. The mirage proves to be just a mirage, although one can touch it with his own hands. Passing from one glass plate to another, the visitor will walk through the palace and find himself at the edge of a small site, beyond which the landscape begins.
It was just before sunrise when I heard a person shouting. A homeless man was standing here shouting, and when he saw me, he stopped and went quiet and just stared at me and then nodded. So I nodded back, and after a few seconds he started shouting again, and when I went round the corner I just looked back at him and he was gone. It all started in a night like this. I was lying in bed when I could hear a deep hum coming from outside that was keeping me awake. So after an hour or so, I decided to go and try and find the source of the noise. Here, the hum is almost unbearable. See and hear things that I wouldn't otherwise. The ground opens up, threatens to swallow me. And the windows become massive screens on which are projected weird things. When I wake up, I'm in my bed, and the hum is gone, and everything goes back to the way it is.
It all started in a night like this. I was lying in bed when I could hear a deep hum coming from the outside that was keeping me awake. So after an hour or so, I decided to go and try and find the source of the noise. Here, the hum's almost unbearable. I see and hear things I wouldn't otherwise. The ground opens up and threatens to swallow me, and the windows become massive screens on which are projected weird things. When I wake up, I'm in my bed, and the hum is gone, and everything goes back to the way it is.
One evening I was walking home and I noticed the pavement covered in a thin layer of dust. The next day, the rain that had fallen during the night turned the dust into mud. In the mud, I could see a city formed by all the shoe prints of everyone that had been on the pavement that day before me. When I saw it, I turned around and walked away. Later that day it rained again, washed the mud away. Soon everything else will be washed away. It's for the best.
It's morning, and I haven't slept well in ages. I look out and everything is as strange and unfathomable as before. In the distance, I see a storm of clouds closing in. But instead of fear, I feel joy. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I'll just close my eyes and let go.